Hello.
Hi, Harold. How are you?
I'm good. I guess Ernie's not there yet. Let me get my Gemara. I'll be right back.
Well, that's good. You want to drink something in the middle of no, but so
Okay.
Harold, how come you have a picture of my queen?
She's my queen too.
Oh yeah?
My aunt. She thinks she's the queen. I just humor her.
Okay.
Pay test 89. Michte. Komili is the bechasima. Even though it says lo sachsham shor b'disho, don't muzzle an ox when he's threshing. It's any animal. Komili is the b'chamisa. The alfinan shor mishabes. It says shor cho v'hemtecha, right? It says you should rest your shor and your behemoths. So there's a hekish. Shor is not just a shor, it's any animal. So it's the same thing by chasima. So in kein lichtav rachmana lo todush b'chasima. It doesn't have to say lo sachshom shor. It should say lo sachshom b'disho. So shor because of rachmana lamli. Lakushe choisem lenechsam v'nechsam lechoisem. There's a hekesh here between the person who puts the muzzle on and that which is being muzzled. So nechsam, and this macho is saying the person, oichel b'mechuber, a worker can eat from fruit that's still connected to the tree. So nechsam oichel b'mechuber. So too, the animal that is muzzled can eat from that is connected. Uma nechsam oichel b'tolush. An animal can eat grain that he's threshing has already been harvested. So too can the human worker, while he's working, eat from grain that has been picked. Ton Rabbanan. Nemer dayish. It also there talks about food as dayish. Ma dayish miyuchid. Davar shegdulei karkov shas gmar malacha. It's growing from the ground. It's at the end of its malacha, like when we said, like we bring it into the house. Upoyel oichelbo, and the worker can eat it. Av kol shegdulei karka poyel oichelbo. What is this excluding? Yotza choylev, somebody milking a cow, or machabetz making butter, or magabin making cheese. She'en gedulei karka. These things are not growing from the ground. And ain poyel oichelbo. Therefore, the worker can't eat from those things if he's doing that work. Now, lamali, what do I need it for? It says we're talking about a vineyard. These things are not similar to a vineyard. We still need the limud. And maybe l'rabas kol balei kama, all growth. Maybe l'rabas tam immediate lav gedulei karkaninu. Maybe it includes milk and cheese. Kamash v'lon that no, it's mamish only thing that grows from a ground. Tani yidin. Daish, ma daish mechuber dover shebeshas gmar malacha po'el ochel bo. We're talking about the grain that only at the gmar malacha can the po'el eat it. Av kol shu b'shas gmar malacha po'el ochel bo. Yotzam enachesh b'shumim u'vitzolim. Somebody is hired to get rid of the weeds in a garlic or onion field. This is way before they're harvested. Hoil the ein gmar malacha ein po'el ochel bo. That's not the concluding malacha when you harvest. That's in the middle. Now, why do you need this? It already says ve'al kel yechalositein nafka, that if it's not ready to put into a kli of the balabayas, he can't eat it. So we don't need this limud. Lo tzricha that alpha gav the kamash l'tinim ibeni alimi. Maybe you'll see little ones and little garlics and little onions that maybe they are finished. You might think he could eat it. He can't eat it because it's not gemar malacha. Tanidich. Dayish. Ma dayish miyuchad davar shelo nikmar malacha. L'maiser. Now, we're talking about something that is not, it's not obligated to meiser yet, like bringing it into the house. It's only then that the poil oichel bo. Av kol shelo nikmar malacha l'maiser. It's ripe and it's been harvested, but it hasn't been brought into the house. Only then poil oichel bo. Yatsa boil bit more of a. So pomegranates and dates and figs. First you gather them and they stick. And then the worker has to separate them with a fork. Here, it's already considered obligated in meiser. So the worker cannot eat from this. Here, Bryce says the worker can eat. Here's where they gather them before they're ripe. And you put them on the ground in order for them to ripen. So it's not nigmar malacha, that Bryce, so they can still eat. The worker can eat. Tanidich, dayish. Ma dayish miyuchid. It's not ready where there'd be a chiyuv of challah, but the worker means once something gets to the point where there's a chiyuv of challah, he can't eat it anymore. But up until then he can. So I've called it Yotza. So what's excluded? Halasha Sa'isa. If you're kneading the dough, V'hamakatev, you are anointing the dough with water or oil, V'ha'oife, or you bake it. All of these are nigmar malachto l'chala and ein por lo'ichlbo. This is already when there's a chiyuv chala started, and at that point the worker cannot eat from it. Now, v'halo nigmar malachto l'maiser, he can't eat from it because these items are already beyond the chiyuv where you're obligated maiser, where already said that a worker stops eating at that point. So why do I need this din of challah? And for the Gemara, lo kasher b'chutz la'aretz askinan, the leka meiser, but there is challah. So there's no chiyuv of meiser, so that never reaches that point because there's no chiyuv of meiser in chutz la'aretz. Ihachi, if we're talking about chutz la'aretz, so challah nami leka, so there is no chiyuv of challah either, midaraisa. So, Trumas and Meisers, of course, the Shulchan Aruch and the Rambam Patskin is only chayiv midaraisa in Eretz Israel. If you buy land in Syria, you're chayiv Trumas and Meisers b'divrei soifin. And in other lands, there's no chayiv Trumas and Meisers at all. You're chayiv challah Minator only in Eretz Israel. And that's when majority of Klal Yisrael lives there. So this is another, right now there's 46% of Jews live in Eretz Israel. This halacha will change soon. Because right now, even according to most opinions, there's no chiyuv challah even in Eretz Israel unless Gans Klal Yisrael is there. Now, Min Rabbanon, we separate challah and we burn it even in chutz la'aretz. Why? Kedei shelo yishtakach Torah challah, mainly as a zecher. Okay, so back to the Gemara. Iachi challah nami leka, el la'olam meduber ba'aretz. What about the baraisa? So v'loi kasha. This was the sheva shonim shekivshu u'v'sheva shechilku. When they came into the land with Yoshua, they fought for 7 years and then divided for 7 years. There was already chiyuv challah, but no chiyuv meiser. So in these 14 years, this baraisa would have been relevant for the worker. That we had to be told that up until the chiyuv challah, he can eat from things he's working on. So on this teretz, I don't understand, meaning Meiser Kagorim? It's not Meiser that determines whether the worker can eat. It's Gemar Melocha Kagorim. And here there's clearly Gemar Melocha. El Am Ravina, Kroch V'Tani, you have to combine the brises. How? It says Da'ish. Ma Da'ish miyuchad davar shelo nigmar melachto l'meiser. It's something that has not yet reached the stage of Meiser. Ulachala. Now, these are things, shalonik bar malachta l'maiser, that's by other produce, and lechala, we're talking about grain only, u'poy lochlebo, of course shalonik bar malachta l'maiser, lechala, poy lochlebo. So we have to know both dinim, that once it hits the trigger of meiser, or the trigger of chala, the poil cannot eat there anymore. Iboy luhu. Poil mashi yahavev bo'or, the worker is working in a field. He's picking grapes. He wants to eat the grapes, but he wants to roast it over the fire to make it taste better. Mihavi ka'novim v'dover acher. The worker cannot eat grapes with something else. Can eat grapes, but not grapes and something else. And is this considered like that or not? Toshma. R'shai balabais lachkos polim yayin. The owner of the field can give his workers a lot of wine to fill them up. So when they harvest the grapes, they won't eat a lot of it. But Rishain Poil Litavel Pitan Bitzir. The workers can dip their bread in salty brine in order to increase their desire to eat grapes. So maybe the worker can also fire up his grapes to make it easy, to make it taste better. So, but this is not making it taste better. This is to increase his appetite. We don't have a kasha whether or not you could do something to increase his appetite. That you're permitted. Kima boil luxury payri. Are you allowed to do something to the fruit itself? My Toshma. The first row that they're about to harvest of the grapes, they can eat grapes in that row. As long as he doesn't fire them in fire. Here's our answer. The Gemara says there's no proof from there. Hasam Mishum Bitul Malacha. The reason why they don't allow that, because it's Bitul Zman, the poil is getting paid an hourly wage. It's prohibited to take away from his work. Ki kama boilon when there's no Bitul Malacha. Workers would come with their wives and their children. They can fire up the grapes, and he doesn't have to misbatel his work. What's the case? What's the din? Toshma. Lo yavel bo'or v'yochal. You should not roast the grapes and eat. V'lo yichmor v'yochal. Don't put them in the ground to heat them up. V'lo yafrich al gabi asela v'yochal. Don't break them on a stone and eat it. Aval mafrich al yad al yad. A little bit by little bit, you can break it up. V'oichal. So it looks like you can't do it. So again, the Gemara says, "Hasa mishum bitul malacha." The reason there is bitul malacha, but if you didn't have bitul malacha, maybe you could do it. That if you're going to tell me that you're not allowed to do it because you're sweetening the fruit, breaking up the fruit on a rock, that doesn't improve the flavor. Well, yeah, it does improve it a little bit. So Toshma, workers were plucking figs and dates, picking grapes and olives. They can eat them. They don't have to give meiser from it. The Torah allowed them to eat while they work. But the pitam lo yochlu, they cannot mix it with their bread. Elam cannot lavishus malabayis unless they ask permission. And lo yisrael b'melech v'yochel, they can't dip in salt to eat. So correcting the flavor of the fruit seems prohibited. So the Gemara answers no. Melech vaday kanovim b'davrachadami. Dipping it in salt is like kanovim in something else. Like we said, it's clearly prohibited. But just firing them in fire, we don't know. Therefore, the Gemara did not resolve the question. It remains a suffix. And since whenever it's a suffix regarding money issues, you have our old principle, it's prohibited. Because the poil would have to bring proof, and he doesn't have the proof. Okay. Brisa says, "Well, you're supposed to be he cannot dip the grapes in salt and eat." He's been hired to rake and to dig underneath the olive trees. He can't eat from the olives. Hired to harvest grapes or limsok, or to pick olives, or or to harvest other fruits. Upater, he doesn't have to give meiser shatar zichsolem. Kotzatz, he made an arrangement with the owner that he can eat, even in situations where the Torah doesn't allow him. So achas v'achas, one by one, he can eat yoichal without meiser. Shtaim lo yoichal. 2 by 2, he has to give meiser. The soifa is b'melech voichel, but you can dip it in salt. Now, this last piece of the dipping in salt, ayon, what part of this price is it going on? Ilay maseifa. It's talking about when he made the condition with the balabayas. Well, then I don't get it. Even the cuts is koleich the boy lechel. He already made a tonight with the balabayas. He can eat no matter what. So it's going on the ratio, the lava ratio, where the worker is eating midin Torah. And it looks, therefore, that the worker can dip the fruits in salt without meiser. Because remember, what's this pturim in meiser? When you eat it, an achilas aroy, a temporary eating. If you're going to eat something achilas kva, so then you have to give meiser. So the issue is dipping something in salt. It's not when you're walking through the field and you're grabbing a plum and you eat the plum. So that's achilas aroy. But once you start dipping it in salt, it looks like being kovei suda. Amar Rabbi loy kasha. Kan, when did we say it's prohibited? Be'eretz Yisrael. And when it's permitted is b'chutz laretz. Be'eretz kavas sfisa. That in Eretz Yisrael, when you dip something in salt, that's considered your kovei suda. And therefore you'd have to separate meiser from the peiros. In chutz laretz loy kavas sfisa, the dipping is not considered kviyas. So that's a buy. Amar Rava, what do you mean? It's too extreme. That means in Eretz Yisrael, midoraisa, we're saying it's kovei suda, you have to give meiser, and in chutz laretz it's not kovei anything, and it's completely mutter afilu chatchila. I mean, usually chutz laretz there's a gzeir midrabanan, but there wouldn't be such an extreme in halacha. Usually tachkanas chachamim are somewhat close to the Torah law. Ella, you push away what Abaye said. And Rava gives a different teretz. Doesn't make a difference whether it's Eretz Yisrael or Chutz Laretz. If you eat one fruit, I don't care what you do to it, and the dipping is not kovei suda, it's considered an achilas aroy. Tight, if you eat two kavas visa, then it's already kovei suda. However, in kotzatz, if he made an agreement with the balabais, bein safas, bein loy safas, whether you dip, whether you don't dip, achas, oichel, shtaim, loy oichel. He still should need 2 by 2. Lo kotzatz, if he didn't make an arrangement, but lo safas, but he didn't dip, then oichel, shtaim. Bim safas, achas, oichel, if he dip 1 by 1, he can eat, shtaim, lo oichel. Ba'afa gab, the notel rishus mi balabayas, even though he made an arrangement with the boss to eat 2, but once you start dipping, it ruins the arrangement. Why? The itvalu l'maiser, the kavas visa. It's kovei suda regarding meiser. So the poil would not be able to eat from it without meiser. Tarti the kavas visa minolan. Where do you see that if you eat 2 and then you dip it, it's considered kviyas? Amrav Masa, it's a pasuk. Domer Kra in the Novi Micha. Ki kavtsam ka'amir gorna. If you mix 2 things together, kvatzim is plural. So that's the minimum 2. So it's already considered goyren. Goyren is like when there's a chiv meiser. That's the proof. Okay. So we will teach Tsurba tonight at 8:15. Tomorrow we will. Okay. Tomorrow is a Yavna charity function that a lot of us are going to.
And a farewell to Rabbi.
And it's also a farewell to Rabbi Arnon.
Farewell to Rabbi Arnon. Walter, it starts early, correct? 5 o'clock.
Starts at 5 o'clock is the trustees' dinner. At 6:15 is seating for the concert.
Okay. So, what time do you think we'll be home?
Everybody's welcome. Home? I have no idea.
Well, 6:15 is pretty early. Can we learn at 9 o'clock?
No, because if the concert starts at 7.
Concert starts at 7. It'll
Okay.
go on till at least 9.
You won't be up till 9:30 earliest. I think.
Earliest.
Okay, so we'll have to learn
You're
double.
lucky.
We'll have to learn double on Thursday. We'll learn at 6:30 Thursday and try to learn, both dafs.
Okay. Shkoyach. See you
Thank you.
at Mincha and Mariv.
Mincha Mariv, 7:40.
Oh, where? By you?
Marty
Walter?
Gerfinkel.
Okay, 7:45. Very good.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Okay, thank you.